Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Banter. I'm Ben Shoop. Alongside me is my co-host HLC. Glad to be back. A busy week in Buffalo sports. Lot happened. A lot to get into. Thanks for tuning in. As always, just want to say to start it off, if you enjoying the show, if you're really liking the podcast, like it down below, subscribe. It really helps out Built in Buffalo, helps out us. And comment what you guys think of our takes. If you think we're not having good takes, if you think we're having good takes, let us know down below. But thanks for tuning in. Hunter, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and you nailed that right on the head. A lot of news, Buffalo specific. Mainly, it's the Buffalo Bills, but a couple of other things sprinkled in there too. I'm sure we can get right into that.
Yeah, might as well. I'm just going to start off with saying just one real quick. The Amherst, we talked about them last week, the Rochester Americans, ended up losing 1-0. So it was a tough game. They lost to the Hershey Bears. That ended their season. I mean, it was a good run. They made it to the Final Four. They made it to the semis. They were almost there. So it was a good season. You saw a lot of prospects again making making some big splashes there. Before we get into the rest of the news, what do you think about just the Amherst season as a whole?
Yeah, I think that it was nothing to hang your hat on if you're a fan as well as anyone in the organization. I think that from the broadcast, what I remember is that a lot of the people involved did not expect them to be going that far, and I definitely from what I've heard, because I mainly hear my news maybe through other Sabres channels of information, did not expect that as well. So very proud to see that what that was. I know that's a one full round farther than last year. I know they lost in the Eastern semis last year. And so, yeah, really exciting to see them go that far. And then we'll see what the deal with a lot of those players are, if they're going to keep them in Rochester or if they've earned the right to come to Buffalo. That'll be exciting to follow in the weeks to come.
Yeah, and I actually do have. I wasn't going to point this out, but because we're talking hockey and we're going to move on to the other sports here. There is rumors. It's from some very legit people. Chad Demonicus. I might be
Oh,
butchering his
D,
last
D.
name.
Diminissus.
Yeah, sorry. I again every show I'm going to say it. I'm bad with last names. Um, but if you want to follow him on Twitter, I believe it's CM Dominicus, at CM Dominicus. If you want to follow him, really knows his stuff, really knows the Sabres, really knows hockey. So he ended up actually tweeting out today that he expects soon, because they can't officially sign until July 1st, but soon that there will be an announcement about Rasmus Dahlin getting an extension around 8 years. About 80 million, so about 10 million per year, give or take. Might not be exact, but this is what he's expecting. So just your quick thoughts on Dahlin getting that big extension. Obviously, we'll talk about it when it becomes official, but what do you think just about the rumors there?
Well, if that is going to be what the deal is, he absolutely deserves it, in my opinion. Stellar player, offensive defenseman, so you can consider him a two-way player on the ice. He's earned an A already, and I know it's about his fourth, fifth season.
Yeah.
But it really seems like sometimes you go either way with it. Maybe sometimes you feel like he's still on the younger side, maybe because of his baby face, or you feel like he's been with us a while, been with the team a while. But however you feel, I think that you should. I would hope that everyone agrees that A is absolutely earned and would hopefully maybe turn into a C one day. So I would highly agree with a figure like that, and I'll look forward to that if there's truth to that.
Yeah, we'll obviously get into it more when it's official. I mean, I do expect him to sign an extension. Obviously, 8 million, 80 million, 8 years. Don't know if that's exact numbers, but that to me, even that is lower than I thought. I thought maybe 11 and a half, 11 million per year. But it's looking like it's around 10. So we'll get into that more as it becomes official. But yes, huge news for the Sabres. Hopefully, it's true that Rasmus Dahlin will be signing an extension. Over now to the other team that shares the arena there for the Sabres, the Buffalo Bandits. Phenomenal game, game 3. For those who don't know, the finals in lacrosse in the NLL is just 3 games. It's best of 3, so it's first to 2. It was 1-1, huge game. End up blowing them out 13-4. I don't know, were you at the game, or you were
Yep.
at the game? I ended up going. I ended up getting tickets literally at the last minute. Like, I wasn't going to go, and then it just popped up last minute. I know that we were talking about it a couple hours before the game, but I ended up getting it last minute. Phenomenal game, just unbelievable. It was a great celebration. It was loud in there. I mean, if anybody says that Buffalo can't have a third sports team, they could, or at least big sports team. I think they could. Um, But yeah, huge win. I mean, they got their revenge on the Colorado Mammoths, and you got to see a lot of the players really celebrating. First one since 2008 is their fifth overall. So, what do you think about the game? I thought it was phenomenal. It was awesome to see, and it was a joy to be there.
I would absolutely agree with those statements. It seemed like they never struggled. I mean, winning by 9, that's pretty impressive to begin with. My favorite play had to be the buzzer beater, I believe, to end the first quarter.
I think it was first, yeah.
0.2 seconds left from, I believe that was Dane Smith. Sneaks it right in the back of the net. That was really impressive because it was a stalemate for so long, 1-1. And then that broke it. And I think from that point on, it was foot on the gas, ram it, jam it in. And yeah, 9-point win, 9-goal win. And yeah, what an amazing celebration. I know that must have felt really good after being on the opposite end of it for the exact same, essentially time, place, opponent, because it was the Mammoth on the other side last year. So how about that? That's really nice to see. Buffalo gets pro sports championship. I'd be really interested to see. I'd like to be at the banner raising ceremony at a game next year. I think that'd be an electric atmosphere to be at. And so, yeah, really happy for guys like Tehoka and Nanticoke as well. I'd seen a video, I believe, from WIVB Channel 4 that was put out previously that actually he was brought to tears on the thought of a championship. So that really warms the heart. And, yeah, so that was great to be at, and I'm very happy to see the result be what it was.
Yeah, and I believe he's actually a Buffalo native, if I'm not mistaken. Grew up around the area, so really special for him to win one in Buffalo. I do want to talk about before we move on. Matt Vink, goalie for the Bandits, ended up making a record low in goals in a championship game. It was 4 goals, which was unbelievable. Had 46 saves, so out of 50 shots, only let 4 in. And he's actually 4. I didn't know he was 40 years old. He's 40. He's been in the league since 2005. Used to play for the Colorado Mammoths, so they even got revenge there. So I just want to shout him out quick. I mean, he's won an MVP. I'm looking at now. He's won multiple playoff awards. That's his third. He's had 3 championships for junior lacrosse. But yeah, I mean, just an unbelievable player, unbelievable game from him as well. I know everybody's talking about how they blew him out, but they wouldn't have blown him out without that great game from Matt Vink. So wanted to shout him out real quick. Bandits, shout out to them getting Buffalo championship. Both of ours first that we witness and probably remember 2008. I don't remember them winning it. Also, I wasn't there. So we both got to witness it. It was a great game. Shout out to the Bandits. Moving on. We're getting into the Bills now. A lot of news to get through. First one is the one that probably made Bills Twitter just go crazy all day yesterday, not even just yesterday, Tuesday, Monday, when the rumors came out that Josh Allen would be getting this honor, but he is officially the cover athlete. I mean, this is just phenomenal. This cover. I mean, the one on the left is great. I love it that it's zoomed in on him, but the one on the right is just unbelievable to me. I love that they put the fans in there. That was like one of my first, I think a lot of people's first reaction. I think you said something too about it, how it's just, it really just represents Buffalo, Allen as a whole, just the whole team, the whole organization. And I'm forgetting who tweeted it out because I didn't know for sure. I had mentioned something saying this is the first time I really realized fans in this. On the cover, but it is the first time ever that fans have been featured on the cover. So just a phenomenal job there by EA. Hopefully the game is a little bit better. I mean, I think a lot of people are hoping for that, but I know that Bills Mafia is going to be eating it up, getting it. I know a bunch of people already pre-ordered it. I'm not pre-ordering it because I will be getting it in store. I will be getting it physical copy, no online copy. But yeah, first ever Buffalo Bill to be on the cover. He said it was a dream come true. I mean, I haven't been a big Madden person the past few years, but I will be probably this year. What do you think about Madden and making Josh Allen the cover athlete?
It's really special. First time a Buffalo athlete out of your 2 choices in the NHL or NFL has been on a cover in a Bills uniform. No better choice. I would think that's the obvious call out of who's eligible nowadays. And with the fans on there, I would say that this is the team that makes the most sense to have the fans on it because, I mean, I would have to put the Bills at a top top 3 fan base, I would make that argument that they would hold the 1 spot, but I'll leave it at that for now. But that's really special. I really like to see that. My buddy actually brought up a good point. He doesn't really play Madden, but he's planning on getting a copy just to have as a collector's item. And I think I might follow suit a couple years down the line, because I don't really play video games as a whole myself, but I'd like to have a copy just to maybe frame it or put it in like a collector's case. So maybe once we're at like Madden 26, 27, I'd like to maybe pick one up, as I'm sure they'll be available, because that's a really nice display piece. Even for somebody like me, that's what I would use it for. So yeah, really, really awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, I have talked also about with some other people about not only getting the game, but people have talked about making it into a poster or getting just a poster style of it. I'll probably do the similar thing. I mean, I'll either go to Staples and get like a $5 poster, then make it or whatever. Or there's also Poster Burner. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that out there. If you're looking to get it made into a poster, might be one of those things where I end up getting the frame and putting it behind me or whatever. Because this whole thing behind me, this won't just be a flag soon. I'm hoping to make it a little bit more extravagant, but yeah, I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, growing up, we always looked at the covers, we always saw the covers, and I never thought I would see a Buffalo Bill on there. And now it's just now there's more players than just Allen that you could see being on there for the Bills, right? I mean, you could see Diggs on there one day. Probably not. They probably wouldn't do 2 Bills within however long. But I mean, they put Mahomes on it twice in 3 years, so who knows? But yeah, it's just an unbelievable thing. I mean, it's awesome to see. I never thought I'd see it. And I mean, it's the perfect cover. So I'm pretty sure that's as simple as we could put it. And just wanted to talk about it quick. Madden 24. Let us know down below if you guys are getting it. What do you guys think? If you guys like the cover, if you guys are going to get into a poster, let us know down below. Love to hear from you guys.
I would also say, what curse?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we've seen, especially in the past like 5-ish, 10 years, it hasn't been as big as a curse. Like Mahomes, I think, won the Super Bowl a year after he was on there. Brady, I think, I don't know, Brady might have been on it the year after he won. So maybe that wasn't I don't know. There's been a couple guys, like I know Julio Jones, I think, had a record-breaking year after he was on it. Or no, Megatron, Calvin Johnson, not Julio Jones. Calvin Johnson, I think so there's been some players. Hopefully Allen's not one of them, I hope. If it is, then I never want a Buffalo Bill on the cover again. And I think you would agree with that one. But it's cool. It's a cool thing to see. Cool for Buffalo. I know everybody was freaking out yesterday. So yeah, we'll see when it comes out. We'll see what it looks like when it comes out and see how the game plays. Moving on. More news coming in today, or not today, a couple days ago. Ed Oliver getting an extension. Now, I think this shocked a bunch of people. I mean, this shocked me too. I mean, I don't think it was the money that shocked me. I think it was even the fact that they just extended him, right? It was a 4-year, $68 million deal. If you add this year, it's basically a 5-year, $78 million extension. But that lowered his cap hit this year, pushes him back. The way Bean set it up is unbelievable. We will probably get into that once the season gets closer, the actual contracts. But I mean, it's unbelievable that he signed. It's good. I like that he signed. My initial reaction wasn't what my thoughts are now. I mean, he I believe was 3rd in pressure rate last season. And it was obviously not the greatest season ever. He battled some injuries. I think he got actually hurt week 1. So it was a rough few years for him when it comes to living up to the expectations that he had. I know a lot of people were not exactly happy with how he's been playing since he got here. A lot of people said that this was a mistake. We'll see if it's a mistake, but as of right now, it leaves him as the only defensive tackle under contract next season. And he thinks, and the team thinks, that he can still improve majorly. And I want to see him now with a full season of either Daquan Jones or Poona Ford next to him. I think it will really make his job easier. So Ed Oliver getting an extension. What do you think of the signing? Do you like it? Do you not really like it? Are you in the middle? Where are you at?
It definitely was a number that made your eyes focus in on it. I guess the math brings that down to $17 million a year. I'm not sure how that stacks up to maybe some comparable Players.
I
I
think
know.
right now, I think it puts him in like 11th right now, 11th or 12th. But I did see some people saying that once other people sign like Quinnen Williams and players like that, he could be down to like 17, 16, 17. So not bad.
Yeah, that's what I would. That's the one thing that stood out to me was that price tag. I know that he was for. I mean, going back to kind of when the season ended, you remember the conversations about. So you have the three big names: Oliver, Edmonds, Poyer. Who will get, who will stay, who will leave. I definitely had Oliver staying, but I had the other guys reversed. I had actually Poyer leaving, Edmonds staying, and so that ends up coming true with Oliver staying. Um, we'll see how it works out. I'm kind of using it. I mean, it's definitely more than a prove it deal by all means, but I'd like to see how, if this is maybe a motivator, um, how it'll work out in that factor. So yeah, I'm willing to see what turns out, how it turns out with this new deal under his belt.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is I think he's gotten a lot more hate than people than he deserves. He's gotten a lot more hate than he deserves from people. I mean, yeah, he hasn't been a guy that's had even 8 sacks or 7 sacks, right? But I mean, he had 5 his rookie year, then he had 3, 4, and 2.5. So 2.5, obviously, this year only played 13 games. That was kind of rough for him. But I mean, the more that I've thought about it, the more that I looked at it, and the more that I obviously saw other people talking and showing what he's done, I'm in the middle with it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. Um, and I also think the fact that you are seeing the defensive tackle market probably soon skyrocket because Chris Jones has said he wants to be a top 2 paid defensive tackle in the league. I mean, Quinnen Williams, who knows what's going to go on with him? I mean, he's going to want some hefty money. So there's going to be guys that are going to maybe even reset the whole market for defensive tackles. And in a few years, we could be looking at this Ed Oliver extension and say, hey, this was a good deal for the Bills. Brandon Beane did it again. Also, the way that it's set up is I believe there's not too much, the first 2 seasons into this contract, not too much, doesn't count against the cap hit too much. And then the last 2 years, I'm pretty sure, are easy outs. Not easy, but decently easy outs. So I think it was a good contract. I like it. Again, don't love it. Like it, just barely like it, just because it also gives us a defensive tackle, or the Bills defensive tackle under contract. So definitely shocking. We'll see how it works out. I think that maybe a full offseason getting healthy will help him. So we'll see. We'll see. Any last things on Ed Oliver before we get into another signing?
Yeah, not much other than we'll see is a great way to put it. And I'm excited. Maybe we'll see him on his horse. I know he was on his horse yesterday, according to his Instagram story, riding around Orchard Park. So let's see him get on his proverbial horse on the field, and let's go make some more tackles and sacks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we talked about one guy that got an extension on the defensive line. There's another guy coming in to help the defensive line, especially with Von Miller being hurt, not knowing if he's going to play week 1, week 2, week 3, not knowing when he'll be back. But it actually is a guy who won a Super Bowl with Von Miller in LA. It is Leonard Floyd. I mean, I love this signing. Love it. I mean, the guy's put up 30 or 29 sacks in the last 3 seasons combined, and it's been about, I think it's been, I'll look it up real quick. It's been 10 and a half, 9.5, 9 last year. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, I'll take that, especially on a 1-year deal just to come help out. It's a 1-year, $7 million deal up to $9 million. Base salary is 1.16 million, only 2.6 million against the cap. I mean, and 3 void years, which for people that don't understand void years, it kind of spreads the money out for years that he's not going to play unless he signs an extension, but the extension can't be more than the void years is. It's a little bit confusing. We can get into it probably later on, but I mean, it's a great contract. It's a phenomenal contract, especially for a 1-year essentially rental. I mean, he's going to be a rental. I doubt that he'd be back next year. But I mean, it really just, defensive line. It looks like they're really looking into this defensive line. They know that Von's coming back, and they saw what happened when Von wasn't there. That was my thing, was they saw what happened when Von wasn't there, and they said, all right, we need to make a change here. We can't just leave it with Boogie Basham, AJ Epinesa, and Greg Rousseau as the guys rushing the passer on the ends, and Shaq Lawson, who's more of a run stopper. But you go and get a guy like Leonard Floyd, who even said he's going to hold the fort down until Von Miller comes back. I love the signing. I think it's perfect. What do you think of Leonard Floyd coming to Buffalo wearing number 56?
I'm also a big fan to see him in town. I know that he will likely take what could have been Shane Ray's spot. He was a bubble guy, but I'd certainly trust Floyd more than I would Shane Ray. Proven name in Chicago as well as Los Angeles, Georgia Bulldog. So I'm really a big fan. I know there was actually some discussion about whether 56 should have been open, as that's Daryl Talley's number. I know his wife was not very pleased to see it be an open number, but that's the organization's choice. So we'll see how he can represent such a number on his back. And yeah, so I'm a big fan of that. And like you said, possibly just a rental piece, but hopefully he can contribute this year. He's got a championship under his belt, and I'm sure he's hungry for another one, just as his former teammate Von Miller is. So I really like this signing.
And actually, as you say that, he did come out and say this was a rumor. Nobody knew if it was true, but he did come out and say it in the press conference. He did have offers that were better. Like he had more money on the table from other teams, but he said he wants to come here and he wants to win. He wants to win another Super Bowl. He's already got one. I mean, I feel like when you get to that point in your career, you've already won one. You know the feeling. I think Von even said it when he first maybe got here. When you win a Super Bowl, there's no other feeling like it, and you want to just do it again. I think Von might have said that, but either way, that's definitely true. You see it with players all the time; they want to win. So Leonard Floyd coming here, two defensive line moves, two defensive line news coming this week. I mean, huge Brandon Beane's wheeling, dealing, making some moves. But there was actually one more signing that we'll get into. Not as big as the other two signings, an extension signing, but it is Cameron Dantzler, cornerback, played for Minnesota for 3 years, kind of battled some injuries, never played a full game or full season. So he's had a rough start to his career. Didn't play horrible for them when he played. I know that there was even a headline that I think it was 2020 when they got off to a hot start, it might have been 2021, that he was a big part of why. And it just said that he was using his size a lot and using just his ball skills. But like I said, struggles to stay healthy. McDermott loves those guys that everybody knows. He loves those guys that he can come in and he can help them, revive their career maybe. And now this begs the question, who on earth is going to get cut in the cornerback room? It could be Dantzler. It could very well be. He could just be a camp body to see how he does. Dane Jackson's also a conversation now. Alex Austin, the new rookie, he's also a guy that maybe might not make it now if they decided to keep Dantzler. I mean, this roster, last year we talked about this roster. I know I'm going to go off on a little tangent here, but last year we talked about this roster being arguably the best ever in Buffalo Bills history. To me, this roster this year now is better than last year's. It's simply put. I don't know where you've gotten worse besides middle linebacker. I think you've gotten better everywhere. I think defensive line got better. I think cornerback got better, especially the depth, safety depth. I mean, you got that now. Receivers, I think you upgraded from, as much as I hate to say it, you upgraded from Isaiah McKenzie. You upgraded from Jake Kumro, who obviously didn't play too much, but you upgraded from them.
With Beasley, too.
Beasley, too. You upgraded it, even tight end, upgraded. Running back, upgraded. Offensive line, every single area upgraded, and you could make an argument that they even upgraded coaching-wise with Leslie Frazier no longer being there. I'm going to leave that to up to other people on it to decide. I think it's not going to change too much, but either way, this team is the best team, at least on paper, in Buffalo Bills history. Now, will it perform that way? Who knows? No idea. But this team should again be up there, talked about a lot as one of the favorites. And I think a lot of people are hesitant to talk about them because of what happened last year. They saw, last year they got hyped up. Nothing really happened, right? So it just kind of made people on edge now. This team's unbelievable. Dantzler coming in. It's not a big signing, but it's an unbelievable team, an unbelievable roster Brandon Beane is putting together again.
Absolutely, I would agree. I like to see the Stancer signing. I heard the name before; it was a recognizable name to me, and so that's great to have in case of an injury. I know he himself has some injury issues, but if he can stay healthy, you would hate to see. I mean, uh, if you have a Trey White New Orleans example, or if you have another unfortunate incident, you would have somebody ready to go if he was healthy himself. So I like to see this too. And I don't know. Now the question to me, I would say, is the question is which one of these signings kind of closed the door? You would think on DeAndre Hopkins. Was it Floyd? Was it the Oliver extension? Was it Dantzler? So with that being said, I don't mind that though. It's would have been cool to have him, but to kind of segue into another topic here. But I realized that there were more some other needs that Bean wanted to take care of, and so that's what he did.
Yeah, at this point, we'll talk about D Hop real quick. At this point, I think D Hop's out of the picture. I think the Oliver extension opened it back up a little bit because you knew that might give the Bills more money. The Leonard Floor signing put it to rest for me. I mean that, and also seeing DeAndre Hopkins visited the Titans after the Texans. I'm just going to ask you this simple question: did he ever care about winning? Did he ever care? Was it ever actually about winning for him, or was it about money? Because I hear people saying, well, why would he take under his market value? He just got a bunch of money for not playing for the Cardinals this season. I believe it was around $20 million just to not play for them. That's your salary for this year. I know that he wants to maybe get a long-term deal, maybe a 2-3 year deal like Odell Beckham Jr., but if you want to win, come win. But if you want to be over in Houston again with a rookie quarterback, or in Tennessee where God knows what their direction of their franchise is going to be the next 5 years, go ahead. I mean, I don't think at this point ever money was, or winning was ever actually fully on his mind, at least the top priority. I don't think it was ever the top priority. But man, I mean, good for him, I guess. He's pulling a JJ Watt a couple years ago. Remember that when JJ Watt was comparing maybe coming to Buffalo? There were some rumors there. He went to Arizona and nothing. So that's all I'll say about D Hop. Do you want anything else to say about D Hop?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be spending time, valuable time, looking into signing with those caliber of teams, it certainly is not about chasing a ring, because we know the Texans are nowhere near that, and the Titans were eliminated from the picture in the last week of the regular season. So I think he's still kind of in for that contract, that money, rather than a championship. And I mean, that's his choice, but he definitely would have to realize that he would not be setting himself up for the best on-field success by going to a team such as one of those.
Yeah, so I think that's probably going to be one of the last times we talk about D Hop until he either signs with somebody, or if maybe it opens up again, right? Maybe we don't know. We don't know what Bean's got under his sleeve. Maybe tomorrow they announce that he's signing here for $3 million. Who knows? I doubt it, but who knows? But there was some other stuff that happened this week. I believe it was Monday that this happened. They officially broke ground at the stadium. I mean, you got obviously this picture. You got Roger Goodell, who, funny enough, looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but there. He looked miserable. This picture you can't really see too well. But if you ever get the chance, go look this picture up and zoom in on his face. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. But you got Kathy Hochul, I believe that is Mark Poloncarz, Terry Pegula, Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, and I cannot tell who the last person is.
I might be Ron Racuia, PSE CEO, something of that nature.
Makes sense. So they got the gold shovels there, broke ground officially. Bills are going to be here for a while. It's that simple. They're getting this new stadium. It's phenomenal. Looks like it's going to be phenomenal. But I mean, it was nice to see it. Nice to see actually it finally happened. I know everybody was celebrating. We were saying thank you for staying in Buffalo, saying thank you to the Pegulas for making it happen. And Terry Pegula, a phenomenal speech. Obviously mentioned the victims of the shooting last year in Buffalo, tragic shooting. Mentioned his wife, Kim, who we hope can get better soon. Hopefully we can see her at a game, maybe not this year, but maybe in the upcoming time. Hope that she's getting better. But yeah, amazing speech that he had, and Buffalo's going to be here. So what do you think about them breaking ground officially?
Yeah, it's really nice to see. I know I do have a couple of bones to pick with the stadium choice. Like I would have liked to see a retractable roof because I certainly do not want a part two of last year's divisional round playoff game. I've told myself I've grown out of saying, "Wow, what a cool snow game." Like I think that's going to be a thing of the past. I'm gonna kind of treat it like that because we saw what happened. It hindered things. I know the game planning was another issue, but it didn't help at all. So what I mean, if you're going to go all out like that, I know it's supposed to be modeled after Premier League's Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, in which actually the Bills will be playing in this upcoming season versus Jacksonville. So I would have liked to seen that as well as the seating capacity. Really do not like to see 10,000 seats being lost. This organization is not a corporate come to the game to talk business. That's not what we do here in Orchard Park. So that's really unfortunate to see that amount of seats being lost. But I suppose that if it does guarantee that they won't be going anywhere, and so that's a nice consolation prize, I suppose. So I'll put it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe we'll have to have a show one day where we just debate first the basketball thing about what we were talking about last week with the Braves and Clippers about that, and the dome, because I am the opposite again of you there. I have always been this way. I think I'll always be this way. Is just football. I love it outdoors. I don't care what the weather is. If we lose because of snow, that's fine. I I don't think I'll ever get I don't know. I just don't think I'll ever get sick of it. I mean, I get why people would. I fully get that. I get like it's cold. It sucks sometimes. But I think at the end of the day, like you said, you kind of are at the point where yeah, it's not as cool anymore to be sitting in those snow. I think we'll look at it as I don't know if we'll ever see games like that, like the Patriots game a couple years ago with the wind. I don't know if we'll ever see a game like that ever again. Um, so though that's just the main reason for me, and I also just like being outdoors. I like being in the elements. I know obviously like I said, I see why people wouldn't like it. So I would to each their own, but maybe one day we'll have just a show about those two things. We'll just go back and forth on it, and people can watch us argue about stuff that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. um, but yeah, I mean, there it is. That's a lot of Bills news this week. A lot of it. I mean, it's nice to have the stadium here. Bandits win. Nice to see the cover, Madden cover coming out. Extension by Ed Oliver, signing by Leonard Floyd. Cam Dantzler also coming in. Next week, we'll talk about this next week because we don't. I want to run out of time, and two, not too much Bills connection to this yet. Dalvin Cook did get released today. Broncos and Dolphins are the top two, at least reported. Bills are going to be in there. Bills are going to be talked about because obviously the Bills have James Cook, his brother. He's talked about maybe wanting to play with him, but like we said, with same situation with D-Hop, probably don't have the money to make it happen. We'll talk about that more next week. Do you got anything about Dalvin Cook before we get into the history, just real quick?
I if I had to make a prediction, I would actually likely say Miami. I think it just makes a whole lot of sense. I hope that I'd be incorrect there, but that will be my prediction. And what that does do is make it very interesting. 2 times a year, brother versus brother.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get it. I mean, like I said, we'll get into it probably next week a little bit more, but a lot of stuff came out this week. We'll probably talk even more about, the stadium a little more throughout the next few weeks. Talk about a little bit more about these signings as well, because we're getting to that point in the offseason where not too much is going to be happening, at least for the Bills. Sabres, going to be going up. A lot of things going to be happening soon, but we'll see. We're going to get into some history. I have one this week. Don't worry. I'll do mine quick, and then we'll get into your HLC's day in history. But mine, Ed Oliver signed an extension. First defensive tackle extension since 2015. Can you guess who that player is?
I would have to go with, was it Marcel Darius?
Marcel Darius, 6 years, $108 million they gave him in 2015. Didn't even make it halfway through the contract. Traded in 2017. I believe that was a Brandon Bean trade. Might have been a little bit before, but either way, traded to the Jaguars for a 6th-round pick. This one, don't know if you'll get. Can you guess who that 2018? So Josh Allen draft. 6th round pick, who did that pick become?
Uh
Bounced around a little bit, went to the Steelers for a little bit,
oh,
which he kind
well,
of had
not
his best years in Pittsburgh, which weren't
what.
that
So
great.
that path of teams is Miles Jack, but it's not him.
No,
Uh,
receiver.
receiver, that would have to be fill in the blank for me.
Ray McLeod. Ray McLeod
Okay.
became, so Marcel Darius became Ray McLeod. Obviously, I actually, now that I think about it, maybe that, oh no, that was a Bean draft because that was an Allen draft. But yeah, Ray McLeod, basically for Marcel Darius and shredding cap space. So ended up working out in the long run, I guess. Getting rid of him, trading him. But yeah, it's just funny to see. Funny to know that what, 8 years later, we're signing Ed Oliver to one now, and I hope it turns out better than Marcel Darius' contract. But there's my history fact. Just a small little tidbit. You got your day in history. So what do you think?
Well, to quickly wrap that up, I'll never forget the clip of Ray McLeod at Clemson versus FCS South Carolina State, where I believe he was about to score a kickoff return touchdown, and he did the classic. We saw Deshaun Jackson do this, drops the ball before crossing the plane, and I'm sure that Dabo Sweeney gave him an earful after that. So I'll never forget that about Ray McLeod.
Yeah. Well, now we got your day in history. 2 weeks in a row, you've had great ones. I would be shocked if you have another third week that is close to the past two. But what do you got for us?
So I actually have two this week, and one could be up there with a very underrated, maybe unknown trigger event, perhaps. But to start it off, we will go with one that I certainly was not alive for, nearly, but not. I'd be the same for you. But so 1999, let's travel back 24 years ago. It is game one of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Dallas Stars and the Buffalo Sabres. And it starts off the way many of us would like it to, with Jason Woolley, Rick Jeanneret's famous shot heard round the world goal in overtime to beat the Stars, and the Sabres go up 1-0 in the series. So silence that Texas crowd. That must have been pretty cool. I'm sure our parents have interesting stories about that. Aunts, uncles, maybe if they remember watching it, or even older cousins.
Yeah, let us know down below if you remember that game, what you remember that game, and even the rest of the series if you want. But sorry to interrupt you there. Just want to let everybody know. Let us know.
And I'm going to assume we would only want to hear memories of games 1 through 5 in the series. But that's that. So pretty cool, though, to see that I actually didn't know that until today, that was game one and that had the Sabres go up 1-0. So that's pretty neat. And then second of all, I was unaware of this. I'm going to kind of go right off the tweet. So got a shout out at Buff Sports History. History spelled HSTRY on Twitter. I really don't know if this is a group of people or one man, woman, non-binary, but whatever the account runner of this account is, just give him a ton of credit. So I'll kind of go right off the tweet years. So on this day in 1966, quick math would have that be, so let's see here, 34 plus 23 is going to be 57, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So 60. Wait, what year was it?
1966.
Oh, I thought you said 56. I was going to say.
No, yes. So 57 years ago, spurred on by the New York Giants football signing of the Bills, former Bill, now Pete Gogolak, the AFL and the NFL come to an agreement on a merger. After the signing of the Bills kicker, the AFL immediately raided the NFL, forcing Rizal to come to an agreement. So you could argue that this signing forces the AFL and NFL to become one, obviously now the NFL. That's pretty significant to me, at least. I had no clue about that the Bills would have this much of an involvement. I know it's maybe I'd still probably put Hank Aaron and being discovered here, and maybe the Gronkowski heritage line up there a little bit ahead of this, but still pretty neat to have it be the Bills have one of their players involved. And so, of course, we know the first Super Bowl was 1967 Chiefs-Packers. I know for a fact, I hate to say it, but the Bills actually were in the AFC Championship game. The loss of the Chiefs could have represented the AFC in the first Super Bowl. It seems to unfortunately be a common theme with AFC championship losses to Kansas City as of fairly recently, the one at COVID year. But yeah, so that would be what I have for today's day in history. Little double dipper, pretty neat. I know. Speaking of Stanley Cup, we have Game 3 coming up tonight. Panthers Knights. We'll see.
Go Panthers.
See if the Cats can get within the game. If they win tonight, we'll see. But yeah, so interesting. Also, so if you go back 24 years, Game 1 is when Game 3 is today. I'm not sure what scheduling plays into that. Interesting stuff, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the Dallas series for the Sabres, that's started off great, as you just said. Didn't end great, but yeah, I mean, let us know down below. Seriously, let us know down below what you guys, if you guys remember that game. Those are my favorites, hearing old stories from people that, oh, I was at this game, or I wasn't at this game, but I remember where I was, what I was doing. So let us know where you were, what you were doing, what your thoughts were after the Game 1 win. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know, that it's close. I don't know if it tops. It might top the Iggy Gronkowski one. I don't know. Again, like I say, I don't know if you'll ever top that Hank Aaron one. That one's just awesome. But I mean, still awesome story, awesome little history for Buffalo fans. So yeah, I mean that's awesome, and so close, I guess, to win into the first one, right? It was the first one you said, right? That Super Bowl that they came close to winning.
Yes. Yep.
And it was the Chiefs, right, that knocked us off again.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the usual. Hopefully this year they can beat him in the playoffs, and the narrative that Josh Allen can't beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, but that's something down the road. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us. I mean, phenomenal episode again. I love talking all this stuff about with you, the Bills, Bandits, Amherst. I mean, just a bunch of stuff to talk about. We'll definitely get into a little bit more of it next week. Like we said with Dalvin Cook, probably a little bit more talk about the defensive line. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. Any last words before we hop off?
A quick just showing of support. Great to see that these guys go up 2-1 last night, and we'll see what transpires moving forward.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully they can get it done. I know me and you are in the same boat there for that one. Hopefully they can get it done. And go Panthers as well. Just want to put that out there. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Really helps out Built in Buffalo. Really helps out us. And yeah, just let us know what you guys think down below. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day.